So, trying to think about all this complexity of the human being as a communicator means thinking about these general competences as well as these linguistic competences that we're probably more familiar with. However, before I move on to trying to give you an example of how some of these things which I've highlighted might be taught, let me just, for criticality purposes, we are in a university, let me just critique the Common European Framework. The Common European Framework does define and describe competences in great detail, above all linguistic competences of different kinds. That's why it's quite thick. But it does, and it's only a framework. It doesn't define the competences in a specific language, it defines types of competences. But although it provides, on the basis of that, a framework for assessing, as we all know, but also a framework for planning, there is nothing in the Common European Framework which talks about criticality. I'm not sure why. I mean, I didn't write the Common European Framework, I wasn't involved. Partly, I guess that at the time it was not something which had been much discussed in languages. But I also guess that, as you will see, if you introduce criticality, then you are teaching your learners to be critical, in both senses of the word. To be critical in the sense of looking for strong points, but also critical in the sense of looking for weak points. Not just looking for negative things. Being able to critique, and that's why I use the word critique as a verb, rather than to criticize. Because the Common European Framework does have a very strong point, but it also has some weak points. And one of them is that it doesn't refer to criticality. Now it may be that the Common European Framework cannot, because if it did, it would be saying we have to teach our learners to be critical, in both senses of the word, about the country of origin and the target language country, or community, whichever word you want to use. And the Council of Europe is an association of countries. Everything that is produced, including the framework, has to be eventually agreed by the ambassadors of all the 47 countries. There's I mean, I'm sure they don't read everything, but in principle they have to agree to everything. Now, it will be difficult, I think, for a Common European Framework to say, you will